Chapter number 5. Medieval Architecture. The Red Fort is the pride of India. Every year, the Prime Minister of India hoists the national flag at the Red Fort. You will be happy to know that it is a medieval period monument that still holds its grandeur. Actually, the medieval period is known for architecture, painting, language, and literature. Numerous structures were constructed in different architectural styles. Monument construction showcased many aspects of an emperor or the empire as a whole. It was an expression of art, aesthetics, and political power. Construction of forts, capital cities, gateways, mosques, temples, and tombs all brought name and fame as they were considered as testimonials to the power and wealth of the emperor. The structures or monuments were of two kinds. The first were forts, palaces, and gateways, which were constructed for safety and protection. The second were the structures meant for public activities such as temples, mosques, gardens, tanks, wells, caravans, sarais, and bazaars. Architectural skills and style of monuments. Monuments of a particular period in history are recognized by the style, design, and material used like marble or red sandstone. For example, during the period between the 7th and 10th centuries, the building construction style underwent a change as more rooms, doors, and windows were added to the buildings. A horizontal beam was placed across two vertical columns between the 8th and 13th century. This style was known as Trapeate or corbelled style of architecture. It was used in the construction of temples, mosques, tombs, and buildings attached to large stepwells. These stepwells are called as baolis. Temple architecture between 800 to 1200 AD. During this period, a number of temples were constructed all over India. Temples housed images of deities and served twofold purpose. One, they became places of worship, and second, they provided patronage to dance and music and also became seats of learning. These structures demonstrated the power and prestige of a king. Dilwara temple at Mount Abu in Rajasthan was done up in pearl, white marble and is the exquisite example of Jain temples built in this period. There is another group of Jain temples at Ranakpur. These are close to Dilwara and very famous. They have marble halls, pillars, intricately carved ceilings, pillars and roofs. 100 Temples at Anhilwada in Gujarat is another great example of architecture. Anhilwada was the capital of Solanki rulers. The Chandelas built the famous Khajuraho temples. They are famous all over the world for their sculptures. From the 12th century onwards, there were some inventions in material mixing and stylistic architectural developments that resulted in a strong structures. Some are given below. Number 1. Arches were introduced. They were beautiful in shape and strong enough to carry the weight of the superstructures above the doors and the windows. Number 2. A unique type of cement made with limestone was used in the construction. It was of excellent quality. To further harden it, stone chips were mixed to make it like concrete. Due to this, construction of the large structures became easier and faster. Wonderful to know, Hampi, located in the Krishna-Tungabhadra basin, formed the nucleus of Vijayanagar Empire. The ruins of Hampi reveal a well-fortified city. The city was constructed without using any mortar or cement. The method of interlocking by wedging the stones together was used. Architecture during Sultanate period. New styles and techniques were introduced by the Turks and Afghans who came to India and later settled here. The already existing style of Indian architecture had these distinct features. Number 1. The concepts of courtyards and colonnades are very common to Hindu structures, especially temples, and this was borrowed to enrich Muslim architectural designs. A colonnade was another unique feature which includes a row of stone columns with equal spaces between them. Number 2. Balconies supported the brackets were included. Number 3. The decoration and beautification of structures with the help of carvings. These features were merged artistically with the new styles brought by the Turks and Afghans. This fusion gave birth to the Indo-Islamic style of architecture. This style was used while constructing palaces, mosques, towers and forts. Constructions were carried out by different dynasties of the medieval period. The rulers of the Delhi Sultanate built tombs, palaces, forts, mosques, bawalis and gardens. They used grey stone which made the structures plain and dull. In sharp contrast, the Mughal structures looked royal and beautiful due to the use of marble and red sandstone. The important feature of Turkish and Afghan architecture was the use of the arch, the dome and the minaret. Turkish sultans employed many Indians who introduced many patterns and designs such as bell, lotus and swastik. To decorate the buildings, geometrical designs, flowers and Arabic calligraphy was used. This Arabic calligraphy had verses from the Holy Quran. The city of Siri was built by Alauddin Khilji. Muhammad bin Tughlaq built Jahanpana in Delhi. These showcase remarkable planning and architecture. Indians, especially the Rajputs and other Hindu rulers, were so impressed and influenced with the buildings of sultans that they adopted the arch and many other features. Thus, Indian architecture became rich and diverse. The main feature used in the construction of the buildings of the period was the dome. In the beginning, only half domes were constructed, but with the passage of time, full domes began to be made. Arch was another feature which was introduced. Pillars were no longer required to support the roof, and the process of construction underwent a change. The concept of minarets, geometrical motifs, and mosaics were also included in the buildings of that period. Let us look at some famous buildings in the 13th, 14th and 15th centuries. The Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque was constructed by Qutbuddin Aibak around 1100-1097. The mosque is open and has writings from the Quran. The Qutub Minar is made of white and red sandstone and marble. It is a unique monument that has towers and balconies. Alauddin's Alai Darwaza in the Qutub complex contains arcs and a large dome. He failed to complete the Alai Minar. The massive fort of Tughlaqabad is famous. The tomb of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was constructed on a high platform with a marble dome. Hauz Khas in Delhi was a pleasure resort with a lake. It has arcs and beams in the same building. In Firoz Shah Kotla, we can see the use of the lotus motif. It consists of a palace and a mosque. The Lodi tomb in Delhi is on a high platform and has a garden around it. Regional kingdoms also developed their individual style of architecture. The famous Char Minar was constructed by the ruler of Golconda in the Deccan. It has 4 lofty gates with 4 minarets. The most famous Bijapuri building, the Gol Gumbaz, has the largest single dome in the world. It is a beautifully proportioned structure. Havelis. There are various Havelis in Rajasthan. Havelis are magnificent mansions that usually have colorful paintings on the walls. Intricate carvings on wooden gates, which extended into a small courtyard, is a unique feature of the Havelis. This small courtyard leads to a larger courtyard. Some Havelis have 4 large courtyards. Mural paintings were done on the outer and inner walls of the Havelis and formed an intrinsic feature of these paintings. Gold and silver leaves and a lot of mirror pieces were used as decorations. Many people in these areas were the devotees of Krishna, and so in most of the paintings the subject was the life and times of Krishna. Many beautifully designed, carved and painted Havelis are there in Shekhawati. The Havelis in Jaisalmer are famous all over the world. They have dense interlocking structure. Architecturally, they are designed in such a way that they keep out heat and dust. Bawalis. Wealthy rulers in Haryana and Gujarat built a number of Bawalis during the medieval times. Bawalis are stepwell to obtain underground water. They were built at many places in southern and eastern Haryana. Fine structures at the Bawalis depict how the people of this land used such intelligent and durable techniques for obtaining water. Bawalis had a unique and beautiful architectural style with impressive appearances and sheer massiveness. Architecture during the Mughal period. The Delhi Sultanate was succeeded by the Mughal Empire. The style adopted by the Mughals was a combination of Persian, Indian and provincial architecture. In Shah Jahan's period, the Mughal architecture reached its zenith. Mughals concentrated on symmetry and balance between the parts of the building. They also gave very delicate ornamental details. The monuments were constructed in order to influence the people, showcase the wealth, power and glory of a sultan, and also to make the future generations remember them. Most of Shah Jahan's monuments are rich and lavish. The beautiful Taj Mahal built in the 17th century is not so much a private memorial than a display of personal or dynastic wealth and glory. It shows the Mughals' love for architecture. In the early 17th century, Akbar created Fatehpur Sikri. The decision was to make a new city and to break away from Agra. This decision to have a new capital depicts his independence. The Grand Arc of Buland Darwaza, its sanctuaries, houses, offices and especially its private and public audience halls, the Diwan-e-Aam and Diwan-e-Khas are other examples of the Mughals' exotic architecture. Akbar was inspired by a vision of a united India and this is reflected in his buildings. He invented a very distinct architectural style which was truly Indian along with influences of foreign traditions. Many of the buildings reflect the personal styles and likes of the ruler. For example, while Akbar preferred red sandstone, Shah Jahan loved marble. The buildings reflect aesthetic sense, taste, attitude, and interest of the emperors who got them constructed. Shah Jahan's structures show a class, while Aurangzeb's show a lack of interest. His wife tomb in Aurangabad is a poor copy of the wonderful Taj Mahal. Some rulers displayed their victories in wars through architecture and got victory towers constructed to commemorate their victory. We have several examples of it like Victory Tower of Chittor and Buland Darwaza in Fatehpur Sikri. Gardens. Large gardens with water fountains and canals in North India were laid by many Muslim rulers. These gardens were placed within rectangular wall enclosures and divided into 4 quarters by artificial channels. These gardens were called Chahur Bagh or 4 gardens due to their symmetrical division into quarters. Beginning with Akbar, some of the most beautiful Chahur Baghs were constructed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan in Kashmir, Agra and Delhi. Building materials. The materials used for constructing monuments different from region to region. The debris from buildings of the period, the richly carved capitals, columns and shafts of older buildings were reused for fresh construction. Stone was extensively used and gypsum was used for plastering buildings. Lime plaster was reserved for for places that needed to be secured against water leakage, as in roofs, canals and drains. White marble and red sandstone were famous materials among the Mughals. White marble was used in many parts of North India, but it was not popular in the south. Brick palaces and forts can be seen in many parts of India. They are from medieval period. Many temples and palaces in South India are built of granite and sandstone. Extensive wood carvings were done in temples of Kerala, which are famous throughout the world. Architecture during the reign of different Mughal rulers. Babur. Babur built palaces with gardens. He built these palaces at Agra, Dholpur and Sikri. He also built a mosque at Panipat. Humayun. Humayun was in exile for many years. He did not build any structure. Akbar. The Mughal Emperor Akbar initiated grand projects. The process of royal structures involving men and money started with the construction of Humayun's tomb in Delhi. It was designed by Miraq Mirza Ghiyas from Persia. He brought Persian craftsmen with him to work on the tomb. This tomb is compared with the Taj Mahal for its architectural finery. Humayun's tomb is the first example of double dome in India. The Fort Palace at Agra was another project famous for its grandeur and architectural expertise. Constructed with red sandstone, the fort has magnificent gates. With the construction of new capital city at Fatehpur Sikri, Mughal architecture under Akbar entered a new phase. His reign saw the fusion of Central Asian, Persian and regional style of architecture. This gave birth to a new style. Fatehpur Sikri was the greatest architectural achievement of Akbar. This city palace was built entirely of red sandstone. The architectural style of Fatehpur Sikri has clear reflections of the architectural style prevalent in Gujarat and Rajasthan. It was built between 1571 to 1585. Wonderful to know, Agra Fort was built by Akbar. It required 2,000 stone cutters, 2,000 cement and lime makers and 8,000 laborers. Jahangir. The important buildings of the reign of Jahangir include the tomb of Akbar at Sikandara and the tomb of Itmad-ud-Daula. The tomb of Itmad-ud-Daula was built by Noor Jahan for her father Itmad-ud-Daula. It was the first Mughal building made entirely of marble and decorated with relief carving, lace-like jalis, exquisite inlays, pietra dura, that is, floral inlay work with precious and semi-precious stones and calligraphy. Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan built monuments that are still unmatched in beauty and grandeur. He preferred marble to other stones. Akbar, who initiated interest in architecture, which was grand yet plain, was superseded by Shah Jahan, whose buildings were slender, delicate and richly ornamented. Buildings of Shah Jahan's reign are the perfect combination of the Persian and Central Asian architecture. Their features were symmetry and uniformity, white marble with motifs. The main sources which inform us about Shah Jahan's building are the Padshahnama, the Code General of Shah Jahan, written by Mullah Abdul Hamid Lahori, Travelogue of Peter Mundi, an employee of the East India Company who visited Agra from 1631 to 33, Travelogue of J.B. Tavernier, a French merchant who visited India 5 times between 1638 and 1668. The Farmans of Shah Jahan to Raja Jai Singh of Jaipur pertaining to the acquisition of marble from the Markana quarries in Rajasthan. The Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan. It is located in Agra, on the banks of the river Yamuna. It was a memorial for his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal, who died in 1631. The Taj Mahal is considered as one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is as tall as 20 stories building. It glorifies the history of India as well as the culture and architecture of the Mughals. The construction of Taj Mahal began in 1631 and was completed after 22 years in 1653. Workers from different nationalities worked and helped in the construction of Taj Mahal. It is said that over 20,000 workers from India, Central Asia and even Europe worked to construct it. There are many sources that inform us about the names of many of the builders who participated in the construction of the Taj Mahal. One such source is the Diwan-e-Afridi, which informs us about Isa Khan as the chief architecture of the Taj Mahal. The materials which were used in the construction of the Taj Mahal were red sandstone, silver, gold, carnelian, jasper, moonstone, jade, lapis lazuli and coral. These were brought in from all over India and Central Asia. White Markana marble brought from Jodhpur and was transported with the help of a fleet of 1,000 elephants. Various precious stones were also used. They were used for the inlay and were brought from Golconda, Punjab, Baghdad, Egypt, Russia, China, Afghanistan, Ceylon and Persia. As discussed before, the influences from Central Asian architecture along the Persian and Indian architecture are also found in Mughal style. It is a unique combination of international forms of architecture with local influences on it. The Taj Mahal stands on a huge platform surrounded by gardens. There is a slender and tapering tower or pillar or minaret at each of the four corners of the platform. These minarets tilt away from the main structure of the Taj, so that in case of an earthquake they do not fall on it. Pure white marble is used in the construction of the building and is beautifully outstanding in the decorative features. The most impressive decorative features of the building are the delicate marble screens, the well-proportioned kiosks or chhatris, and the pietra dura inlay work on the walls. Restoration of the Taj Mahal. During the late 19th century, the buildings of the Taj Mahal had fallen into disrepair. British soldiers and government officials damaged it and took out the precious stones and lapis lazuli from its walls around 1857. At the end of the 19th century, Lord Curzon commissioned the restoration of the Taj Mahal, which was completed in 1908. He also installed a large lamp in the interior chamber, which resembled one in a Cairo mosque. The Chahar Bagh was also remodeled with British-style lawns that remain unchanged even today. Moti Masjid. Shah Jahan also constructed several mosques. One of the most important among them is the Moti Masjid or Pearl Mosque within the Agra fort. This mosque is built entirely of marble. The Moti Masjid is an experiment with an alternative scheme of open prayer hall that does not have minarets, which are replaced with chhatris on the four corners of the prayer hall. Red Fort. On the right bank of the river Yamuna in Delhi stands a marvelous fort. The fort is called Red Fort or Lal Qila because it is made of red-colored stone. It was built between the years 1639 and 1648. This fort was built by Shah Jahan when he laid the foundations of a new city called Shah Jahanabad. This fort was part of the new city and is in the shape of an irregular octagon. The important structures within the Red Fort are as follows. The Diwan-e-Aam. It is the hall of public audience. It is a rectangular hall built of red sandstone. The Diwan-e-Khas. It is the hall of private audience. It is highly ornamented pillared hall. The famous peacock throne was kept on the marble platform there. The Rang Mahal. It was said to be the palace for the women of the royal household. Shah Burj. This was the structure from where the emperor gave Jharokha Darshan. Jama Masjid. Shah Jahan laid the foundation of the historic Jama Masjid. It was laid on a hillock at Shah Jahanabad. The mosque was the result of the efforts of over 6,000 workers over a period of 6 years, that is from 1650 to 1656. After Shah Jahan, though not many buildings were erected by Aurangzeb, up till the 18th century, traditions of Mughal architecture continued. Safdarjung's tomb is the last well-known monument in Delhi. It depicts a lot of original variations blended with local styles. Aurangzeb. The last powerful ruler of the Mughal dynasty was Aurangzeb, who is remembered for his simple lifestyle and lack of interest in creative arts or architecture. Architectural innovations and improvements came to a complete standstill, and whatever was constructed was a copy of the earlier style. The tomb of Rabia Durrani, Aurangzeb's wife at Aurangabad, is a poor copy of the Taj Mahal. It is called Bivi Ka Maqbara. The Moti Masjid at Lal Killa in Delhi and the Badshahi Masjid in Lahore were also built during the reign of Aurangzeb. The regional architecture. The regional architecture also excelled during the Mughal period and drew inspiration from the Indo-Islamic style. The Sultans of Bengal and Gujarat, the Sharqi kings and Sher Shah Suri constructed some magnificent monuments. The finely carved reliefs in the 14th century, Jama Masjid in Pandua, displays similarities with relief of the 13th century Kakatiya monuments of Warangal in Andhra Pradesh. Nature-inspired architectural forms were used in the Deccan. The monuments of Hyderabad stand out for their use of pineapple-like domes and minarets and columns modelled on palm trees. The Bahmani rulers were great patrons of architecture. They built famous monuments like Jama Masjid at Gulbarg, the Jami Masjid, Muhammad Gavan's Madrasa and his tomb at Bidar. The Vijayanagar rulers also built beautiful temples at Hampi. The Vitthal Swami temple, the Virupaksha temple and the Hazar Ram temple were built by them with an excellent examples of temple architecture. Other than these, the Rajputana rulers also constructed regal structures such as Mehrangarh Fort at Jodhpur, the Victory Tower and the Fort of Chittor. While Mughal architecture went into rapid decline after the rise of Aurangzeb, indigenous schools of architecture gained pace and started the development of their own traditions and styles in architecture. According to historians, Aurangzeb did not encourage artists, and so they migrated to other regions where rulers involved them in architectural projects. Wonderful to know, the UNESCO has declared the Taj Mahal, Fatehpur Sikri, Humayun's tomb and Red Fort as World Heritage Sites. Even though the authority of the Mughal rulers waned in the 18th century, the architectural styles developed under their patronage were constantly used and adopted by other rulers whenever they tried to establish their own kingdoms. The architectural wonders of the medieval period were built to showcase power, wealth, or a victory. But what we need to marvel at is the fact that behind every monument that was constructed were ace designers, skilled workers, and numerous laborers who worked manually for years. We need to admire the fact that they designed and constructed without machines, computers, and modern tools available to us today. The material used was of such quality that it can still leave behind our certified products. In other parts of the world during that time, in France, during the 12th century onwards, magnificent churches were built. These churches were taller and lighter than earlier buildings. The name of this architectural style was Gothic. It was a distinguished architectural style characterized by high-pointed arcs, the use of stained glass, often painted with scenes drawn from the Bible, and flying buttresses. Tall spires and bell towers, which were visible from a distance, added to the grandeur of the church. One of the best known examples of this architectural style is the Church of Notre Dame in Paris. It was constructed through several decades in the 12th and 13th centuries.